And you're welcome back. This is Aoibhinn sitting in for Sheila on Shenanigans today. Now, having been refused a deposit for a house, my next guest decided to up sticks and go in a protest of positivity around Ireland for the year. His website is ayearoffestivalsineIreland.com, and Mark Graham joins me on the line now. Mark, how are you feeling?
I'm great. It's just a little bit tired, Aoibhinn. Just a little bit. The energy is flagging a bit, but I'm all positive and it's all systems go. And I've pulled into a quiet cul-de-sac here in Ballinasloe. Not an easy thing to find in Ballinasloe this weekend.
Not this weekend, no. What's happening in Ballinasloe at the moment?
The horse fair's on in Ballinasloe.
Brilliant.
It's been running since last Monday, and it's something that I've always wanted to go to, but I never had the nerve to go to it because, to tell you the truth, I would be somewhat reluctant because I heard it's rough, but it's not as rough as legend would have it.
Oh, that's good to hear. Explain to our listeners now why it is that you're at the Ballinasloe Horse Festival. You're travelling around the country for the year, visiting as many festivals as you possibly can. Is that correct?
Yeah, hopefully at least 3 a week. That's what I'm doing. And the week before last, I got to 5 in the week. And what happened was I got to that stage in my life where, for some reason, I said to myself, yeah, you should have a house now. You should really have a house. So I went to the bank to inquire about it, and they said I'd need a deposit. Now, I had a little bit in the way of savings, not much. But what I did have was kind of my pride and joy, was a 1973 VW camper van that I had for 5 years, that I've been working on over that 5-year period. And there was a voice somewhere in my head that said, well, look, it would be better to have a house rather than this vintage camper van. So I sold the van to get the deposit together, and I went back to the bank. And they said, well, actually, we can't give you a mortgage. Maybe if you come back in 3 months, we'll look at it again. So I went away and I said, okay, if I knuckle down and I really work a bit harder and maybe cut a few more corners and save some more money, I'll be able to get the deposits fully together in 3 months for a house. I had a house picked out and all, and I had a refundable cash deposit on a house at this stage.
Right.
With an auctioneer.
Well, that was clever. Well done getting the refundable cash
deposit.
Well,
refundable, that was the thing. But eventually I said to myself, they've a worse credit history than I do. And they're telling me they won't give me money, and we've bailed them out. So I got the refund back, and I bought another van, and I decided to go on the road for a year rather than buy into a house. And so far, it's probably been one of the best decisions I ever made.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I think you're kind of kidding us all, Mark, saying that you really wanted to buy a house, though. You were only looking for an excuse.
Honest to God, I feel kind of bad about this because not only did I let down the auctioneer, but there was actually somebody selling that house as well. And I was really convinced I was going to get a mortgage because I do have a decent enough job. So not only did the auctioneer lose the sale, but the person who was selling the house lost the sale. And the situation I found myself in was no way negative, or no way it doesn't bear moaning about in comparison to what other people are going through at the moment.
And Mark, we're hearing that the banks are delighted to give first-time buyers mortgages, because that's what I'll be banking on in a couple of years' time, because I'm saving for a deposit.
I tell you what, Aoibhinn, maybe I had a decent enough credit history. It's just that in the past, I mightn't have held on to money as much as I should have, put it that way. And to be totally honest about it, I did have 10% of the price of the house together.
Okay,
I could have that together.
But decent.
I got a good price for my van, the one that I worked on for a long time. But to tell you the truth, I did spend some of the money. I went to Japan to a festival, and I stayed there for a month.
Right. Look, do you know what? You're allowed.
They know those things.
You're allowed to go and enjoy yourself as well. I wouldn't feel bad about that.
You have to. And that's what I was thinking. The reason I say it's one of the best choices I made, if I had bought into the mortgage now, I would be scrimping and saving, and I would be putting that money into a banking system and making profits for them. I'd actually, I wouldn't feel that comfortable doing that anymore.
I know, but Mark, you will have to buy a house in a year's time when you finish your year of festivals in Ireland.
Maybe. Well, at the moment, I'm renting a lovely little house. I have a very nice landlady. It's a very small cottage down by the pier in Tremor, County Waterford. And it's idyllic, and it's fine, and that'll do me for now. And I'm happy out.
And that's the most important thing. Come here, you've been to 17 festivals in September.
17 and a half.
17 and a half now, sorry. What's been the highlight so far?
Well, I'd say the top 3 from September. There were the Bog Snorkeling Championships in Monaghan, up in the wonderfully named town of Dewhamlet in County Monaghan. It was fantastic, and I'm the 6th best bog snorkeler in Ireland.
Well done.
And the crack up there with Declan and the lads, it's brilliant. If you get a load of people in a field in flippers and masks running around the place, swimming in a bog, it just makes for a good time.
So you're not only visiting the festivals, you're actually participating in them as well.
Oh God, no, you have to get your hands dirty. It's not Catherine Thomas you're dealing with here now at all. You have to get down and dirty with these things. Yeah, so I did I was pretty happy with the time that I did in the bog. And of course there was a prize giving ceremony afterwards in the local pub in Castleblaney later on, and so that's part and parcel of it as well. That was great fun. There was a storytelling festival on Cape Clear off the coast
I
of
have
Cork.
always wanted to go to that. And
Well, you have to go.
I will have to go.
It's wonderful, and it's not something that through work that I've done in the past, I would have got to go to a lot of festivals, and it's one I heard about as well. And I was always saying to myself, a storytelling festival, I don't know about that. It seems a bit dull. Sitting down, listening to storytellers from around the world telling stories, they actually pull you in. And it's amazing how pleasurable and how enjoyable it is listening to people who are really, really good storytellers telling stories. And then you can go to fireside sessions, you can go to storytelling workshops, and of course there's sessions in the pub on Cape Clear afterwards as well that go on into all hours of the morning. And the music on the Saturday night down there was fantastic. Not only did you have mandolins, banjos, guitars and recorders and accordions, but there was a saxophone pulled out there at one stage. It sounded like there was a cello pulled out, but there wasn't, but I thought there was. But that was very late.
That was after a couple of pints. So you're going to be doing this, Mark, now all year. How are you going to fund it?
Well, I'm funding it myself. I am working, and I'm working during the week, and the way I kind of look at this is that I've put a lot of other things on hold, which has pluses and minuses as well. I am shirking a lot of responsibilities at the moment. But similar to yourself, I would have been involved with a band or two, going around playing gigs, and I've put that on hold. And I don't have kids. And
so now's the time to do it while you're free.
I'm free enough that way. Now, when I started this, I was single. At the moment, I'm kind of not single, because funnily enough, I met a girl at a festival.
In Shúilleabháin by any chance?
Not in Shúilleabháin, no, in Waterford. There was a singles dining event as part of the Waterford Harvest Food Festival. And I met a girl at that, and the next week she took me running across the 12 bins in Connemara throwing shoes at George Bush at an event. But yeah, so I don't know, we'll see what happens there. But
well, best of luck with that.
Not too bad, but Shúilleabháin I did go to, and that is wild. I think that everybody at some stage in Ireland should go to Shúilleabháin.
My granddad used to go down every year. He swore by it. He said it was one of the best festivals in Ireland.
It's so wild, and it's nice to know that kind of wildness is still in us. What it's like.
You should be on commission, I think, for Fáilte Ireland for the year now. Make it your project.
I wouldn't mind at all.
Well, come here, we might catch up with you again during the year, making sure how you get on.
Could I ask you one thing that you might be able to help me with real quick, yourself and your listeners? There are loads of festivals happening all around the country that I'll never get to find out about. Really small festivals that don't get publicised that well, that I won't hear about. So if your listeners could go to my website and let me know what they are, a year of festivals in Ireland.com. Any kind of festival, the quirkier the better. Something like at the Culture Festival at the end of October, there's an egg throwing championship. That kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. So if they could help me with that, and you could as well, even, that would be fantastic.
There's a great festival for May Bank Holiday weekend in Louisburgh in County Mayo that's still beautifully small and great trad music in a tiny little town on the coast of Mayo. So if you get to that one, you plan in advance. But I'll add that to a year of festivals in Ireland.com, Mark.
Says the Mayo woman. Fair play. Nice
talking to you. Best of luck.
Nice talking to you as well, Aoibhinn. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks very much, Mark. We'll be back with more after these.